Hello everyone and welcome back to the Underground Cave. I am Geltip and this is Mini Painting with Geltip. Now this is a tutorial stream. Actually not really, it's just me painting a miniature while you guys sit there and paint along. And as you can see we're painting Kaspar von Mondstein. We started him 2 Thursdays ago. I was off last week, so let's hope that I can remember what colors we were painting him and continue on with him. So if you have Kaspar von Mondstein, which is a Reaper miniature 07073, and you have your paints, then let's get painting. Alright, so welcome back. I know that we've been gone for a few weeks. Hopefully you might have done more. You probably couldn't pull yourself away from our guy here, but this is who we were working on. We're working on getting some blends, and I was trying to rush through it because just to show you some of the blends and stuff. I think this is the only one that we really got to swing. You can see there's still an edge here. I probably should point with a paintbrush, right? We still have this edge here we have to kind of fade out. You know, we have a couple edges here, but if I turn this miniature, remember, we weren't really doing any dynamic lighting, but we kind of wanted some way of light to get through. So here's our arrow, and we're coming from the forehead, so this is kind of like where we wanted the light to hit, right? And so if you look down here, see, the light would actually hit some of this, so I have to get some of this painted a little bit brighter. It was bugging me, so I think we have to do this just a tad bit brighter over there. So that's kind of where we're going to end up, but I also want to do something with this cape. Now this cape is a nice large flat area. We could do all kinds of stuff we wanted with this, but I'm kind of thinking we keep this more in the dark and then we'll two-tone this here for a little bit more color on here, and then this way we'll highlight this in a way. Maybe we'll edge it with a color that we have. So that's my feeling, and then work some more on the face, get the face really looking menacing. So that's kind of where I want to go today with this. So that's what we're going to do. So we did some of these stitches just to get a pop of red in there. But let me go through my colors once again in case those of you that weren't with us and didn't get a chance. Oh, this is up on the YouTube channel, but I don't think I put the link in the Discord yet. So so keep an eye out for that link in the Discord. But let me go through and let me just show you a little bit of, or let me show you the color palette, remind people of the color palette. We're using Coal Black from Monument Hobbies. Doesn't say Coal Black here because we had a little mishap on the way to ReaperCon. I keep trying to pull this off, but trust me, this is Coal Black, but any black will do. Solid Black, Nora Black, Carbon Black, whatever you have, Abaddon Black. I don't know all the blacks from all the companies. We're using Ivory from Monument. But any ivory will do. I got some Vallejo ivory here. You could be using 70.918, and I'm sure that Citadel and Reaper have their ivories as well. We're using Bold Pyro Red from Monument Hobbies. It's just a bright red. You can use Holly Berry. There you go. There's some Holly Berry right there. Pretty much the same. It's got probably a little bit more yellowness to it, but that's the red that we're using. Staying with Pro Acryls, we've got Golden Brown. This is more of a tan color. I don't want to go super yellow. Keep them saturated so that if you look at him, there's a lot of saturated colors here, but you notice that the red is what's popping because the red is the vibrant color there. Everything else is muted. And then we have brown black brown, just a dark chocolate brown for shading in the warm areas. Then when we get to the Reaper paints, we're using burgundy wine. Any burgundy is good. I think there's burgundy or something from Reaper. Or not Reaper, Citadel. We're using linen white. This is my white. It's a warm white. It could be a bright ivory if you have bright ivory. I tend to use ivory because it's a little bit duller, a little bit more on the warm white, like darker than an eggshell. This is probably like an eggshell or a greenish white. This is what we're using for our green skin tones, along with Jungle Mist. Jungle Mist from Reaper 9322. This is a very muted down green, but you may have some vampire colors. And then I took the Cantor blue that we're using for Citadel, and I stuck it in this little dropper bottle so that I can easily put paint on my wet palette. So I put some in the dropper bottle, but I do have the Cantor blue bottle. It's right here. This is the Cantor blue, and it just looks different because this is in a different thing. This is an empty Army Painter bottles, dropper bottles. You can get these from Army Painter. They're just little dropper bottles. Okay, that's the color palette. Now let's get it on the wet palette. I'll do what I think I did before. I didn't really look at the video 2 weeks ago. But I'm going to put all the dark stuff on top. Actually, I'm going to put all dark stuff on the left side. I'm going to go dark to light. So there's my black. I don't have a gray, so we'll do this brown, black. Put that brown, black there. Yep, looks good. And I think this blue, this dark. Actually, we'll do burgundy wine over here. Oops, that could be shaken up just a little bit. Hold on, let me get the... I don't know if you could hear that, but sorry about that. So I'm just going to get some in there. Alright, so that takes care of that. Let's go to my medium tones. So we'll do this Cantor blue right over here. We'll do this red right below it. I probably should have done the blue up on top, so I kind of has this progression, right? The black to the blue. But we'll do the and then dark brown could have been with the golden brown right there, even though it's a little bit lighter. Okay. And then the light colors. So we'll put Jungle Mist here next to the green. This is for my flesh tone. And I could have separated it like this is my flesh tone. This is my cape tone. This is the linen white, which I probably should have done by the black because I'll kind of end up forgetting. And just pulling off some flakes. You got some ivory. There we go. All right. All right, let's take a look at this guy. We'll get this stuff out. All right, let's thank you in Texas. Evening. Welcome in. First time chatta. How are you doing? Thank you in Texas. We're just I'm doing a little paint along. So in my Discord, I gave Minnie, and then we just paint along. I give him a color palette, and we just go nuts. I have no idea what colors we're doing, and so we just kind of, people just hopefully trust me and paint along. All right, I want to start with the face. I want to get a little menacing tone in here. And I need a sharper point. So we need a sharp point. We need something like a liner brush. Now I'm just looking for something that I can use as a liner brush. Wetting stuff up. All right, this looks good. That's my liner brush right there. And so we want to make this face a little bit more sinister. I want to make him a little paler. So the first thing we're going to do is grab some of that Jungle Mist from Reaper and mix in a little bit of the linen white. So I'm just going to get some stuff out of my way so that I can do some mixing. So we're going to take some of this Jungle Mist. So that's about 2 shots of that Jungle Mist, and I'm going to double the amount of white here. So this is my linen white. So this is kind of your skin tone that you're using for the vampire. I'm using Jungle Mist. And so I'm going to pronounce Thai. Oh, Thai in Texas. Thank you. Thank you. I have it's in the mail, but I have a card that officially allows me to butcher everybody's name that I don't know. So I apologize. But I can't be sued. I have that card coming. We're going to double the white to the skin tone. So this is 1, like so, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to add a little bit of water to make sure everything gets mixed up properly. Okay. And so we're going to paint the light colors on, and then we'll shade some colors down afterward. All right. So for this, I need my little magnifiers. Hopefully I stay on camera. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of clean up around the eyebrows here. They look pretty large. And I'm also going to clean up around these cheeks and mouth where we put that burgundy color. So using this, we just want to keep things pale. Remember where your light source is. So we're coming from over on the top. So I'm going to start with the forehead and just kind of hit right in the center of the forehead. Like this. Let's get rid of this light there. There we go. And then remember how we make him look a little angry. We're going to put a little dot right here at the top of his nose bridge. And then we're going to put it on the tip of his nose here. Kind of gives him a little scowling look. And then we'll come down here on the bottom of the chin. So I'm staying in this line here. I haven't hit the sides yet, but I'm hitting this bottom of his lip here. I'm going to hit the top of his lips, or his upper lip, I should say, if I can do that. So he's got like this little snarl going on. So you want to get as much as that upper lip as you can without hitting under his nose. And then because he's making this snarl, the upper part of his cheeks get closer to his eyes. So we're going to kind of hit that spot right near his eyes. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And then we'll kind of just bring this down here, connect it into his mouth, and then his chin. So we kind of have this nice bright coming right from his face, down his face, and we've given him a little snarl. All right. Now I'm going to look a little bit closer just to see. So I'm looking a little bit closer to see on his eyebrows if we can bring those eyebrows down just a bit. They look pretty bushy. So And I don't think I want to do that with the bright yet. So I'm just going to go in and grab regular jungle mist. And I'm going to try to carefully, right? You want carefully, that's why we're using a small brush here. Small tip, you want to try to hit and make a little flesh space around these eyebrows. If I can. These might be bushy eyebrows though. It might be sculpted that way. But it doesn't hurt to try. Really, I'm just trying to make the eyes a little bit more not round. And where are my manners? We have some music we have to start playing. So let me take care of some music. I just am trying to get a little bit of this jungle mist. I don't want to hit my bright spots because you want to keep those bright spots looking up at, maybe he's howling at the moon. All right, let's get some music here. What do we want to do here? Let's try some trance. Right? Vampires put people in a trance, right? Let's try a little trance. If it seems like it's not working, we can always change it up. That's a little loud on my end. Maybe. Where's my sound? Oh, yeah, that's why. I was like, oh. All right, hopefully you can still hear me and the music. All right, I'm going to take that light color and just like I was staying in the center of his face, I'm going to be staying sort of on this part of his hand. So look at where the face is. This is all of the pieces you want to highlight. Oh, thank you. And we're going to just take that light color that we made and we're going to go in and make those. So it looks like this thumb is probably going to get some of that light. It looks like this palm, this is going to be a nice circle. This part of the hand right here. I think this finger might actually get a little bit more of the light. So I'll put some there. Definitely this finger. As I'm talking, I'm drying my brush out, so I'll have to go back in and dip some. So you want to just make sure, see, you can always make these contours in the hand too. Like I can always make, if you just throw little dots and dings of where the light is coming from, like maybe you make a little triangle here, a circle here. Maybe this knuckle sees some. Make this little egg shape right here. You can almost start to make out some of this hand. And if you keep some of the shadows in there, and you don't paint the whole hand, it gets definition. Right? And we'll do the same thing back there. Let's take some of this bright. And then, so you can see what I'm going to be painting on the backhand. And again, this is a little bit brighter than what we're using, but don't paint everything that you painted before. You just make like little dots here and there. There we go. Excellent. Now he's looking a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take this burgundy wine we had, and we remember we made a glaze with it. And I think we stuck a little bit of black in there to get it nice and dark. So this is where I'm going to get out a little well. I mean, I should do it on a wet palette, but if you're using a well, you can see kind of what I have here. But I want to make this a nice glaze, so I need to get it nice and wet. Either using glaze medium or water. And remember how we tested it? See how I almost lose some of those lines? That means I don't have enough water. So we'll get some of the water back in. Nice highlighter color, look at that. Much better. That might be a little too light though. We'll go back to the purple and the black. I think that one's it. It looks about the same, right? All right. I think we got it. Grab a paper towel. Grab a little of this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in and reestablish some of those dark spots. So I'm just kind of taking the excess moisture off, and I'm going into the mouth here, and I'm just going to touch the middle of the mouth, and all of that glaze will just kind of run into the mouth. So I'm just dabbing it in there. See where the cheek is? I want the cheek to be darker up on top. So I'm just going to kind of hit the top here and just keep stippling in. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side, staying on the top inside of the cheek, just dabbing in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do these eyes again. I want to do them nice dark slits. And so we're going to have to let that dry a little bit like that. And so as we're letting that dry, what I want to do is where I have this green here on the top of his eyelid, I'm going to mix in a little bit of jungle mist to the I'm going to mix in a little jungle mist to the burgundy wine here. I just have to mix this up a little bit. So we're just gonna mix this up because I think I got a lot more medium in this than I did anything else. Okay. So we'll take a little bit of this burgundy. And because I want it to be dark, I'll take 2 of these burgundies and 1 jungle mist. And the jungle mist is light, so it should neutralize the dark. Okay, so you get something that looks like this very muted down purpley color. And this is what I want to do around the eye. Now this isn't a glaze, it's a paint, so just be careful. And I'm just gonna go right underneath that eyebrow with this color. I was thinking of doing this black, but with the black eyebrows, I think if we can give him some nice purpley shadow up in the eyes, his eyes will start to pop out. So that's just the jungle mist, because that's what we've been using, and the burgundy wine. Mix that together, 2-to-1 mixture, because I want it to be dark, because we're eventually going to bring out the eyes. So if you think that you went too large with the eyes, then you didn't. And if you really, really want to push it, take some ivory and touch the fangs. So I'm just gonna go, see, I'm just gonna ever so slowly touch the fang, like so. Just want to see the fang. In the mouth. And we're gonna hold off on the face for a little bit. That was a lot to work on. To glaze, so we need to make a medium color here. So remember, we started with the black brown, and we added some yellow to that, or golden brown, should say, not yellow. We added some golden brown, and I think it was 4-to-1 if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. And I'm going to put that in here to make a glaze out of that. All right. So the first thing I want to do is paint it on, and then I'll glaze it around the areas. So what I want to do is I want to get rid of this edge line here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint it on, and then I'll glaze down. So it's going to make another line with this color. And so I'm just going to kind of follow the contour here. Oh, this might be a little bit lighter than what I have. Well, if it's lighter, that's fine, because we're painting it on anyway. So we'll just kind of go in and fix where the highlights are. This is the problem with coming here 2 weeks later, is you forget. Either that or well, this would be a great color for in here, so let me do that. So I'm just gonna kind of push my way into this little recess. This might have been my starting color. We might have started this way and glazed down, because that's what it's looking like. So let me get a little more brown in there. That's probably what I did wrong here. Either that or I counted wrong. Good, thank you very much. All right. So are you a mini painter, Ty, or? Yeah, see, this is what I wanted to originally do. I think I might have miscalculated my blend, because if you look, this is exactly the blend that I want. And so all I'm doing is just kind of like painting a layer like right here. I need to get this layer right about here. There we go. Yeah, so now it's starting to kind of blend through. This is the layer I wanted, and then this is what I'll glaze with. So we'll get this layer out. Just gonna take a look, make sure that I have all of the places I need this. So like right here, this is where sunlight is going away. Underneath this pack. And in here. Yes, rusty, but getting back into it. Oh, that's awesome. So, D&D, Warhammer, do you like to paint just to paint? Do you paint to play games? Is it army games that you do? Is it role-playing games that you do? Board games? What else uses miniatures? Skirmisher games? Are you one of those, you know, like they have the War Cry, they have the Mage Knight. Reaper used to do Warlord. Or are you a fantasy, or not fantasy, historical guy? Do you do the historic stuff? So now you can start to see some of those edge lines are going away, which means that I have to put a little bit of brown in here in my glaze. Let's test out my glaze really quick. Look at that. That paints right over those lines. You know what that means. So I taught a class this past week in how to glaze. And so if you're painting over your lines, that's not good, because that means you're creating new lines. So you have to look to see if you can, look at that, see? Not a good glaze. So what we're gonna go do the trick of adding quick water. And what I mean by quick water is some people use a drinking bottle, right, that has like a little spigot, or they use it for animals. I use a I bought a bottle to squeeze. There we go. The lines are starting to come. Could probably get away with doing a little bit more water. You don't want to do too much water, because then your pigment goes away. So if you're adding a lot of water, this is pretty dark. But I can see the lines here now. So, like up here, I mean, you can see them, but they're covered, and that's not what you want to do here. What you want is this glaze to be a highlighter. If you can see the stuff underneath it, then we're good. But what's going to happen is that transition, that's what you want. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this color, I'm going to touch the paper towel to get rid of most of the moisture, not all of it. Just want to make small dots. And with the side of the tip of your brush, you're going to start in the dark area, or excuse me, you're going to start in the area that the paint is and go to where you want to go. Then you're going to come back and you're going to drop the paint over that little edge line. And what that's going to do is it's going to fuzzy out that edge line. So again, you take it, this is the color I want, and I'm going to go in there, and then I have to wait for this to dry. But the thing here is when you lift up your brush, that's where most of the deposit is. So like right over here, and go right over that edge. Over here, although this I think I might get another highlight on, so I don't know why I did that. But you can start to see how it just kind of ends up like right here. I don't know if you can see that edge line, but I'm going to start in this paint, go to the highlight and back out. Back out. And when I come back out, I'm on top of that line that I made. And what's going to do, you can't really see it here because I don't have enough of a highlight, but it does work. Once I get another highlight on here, but I want to kind of get this transition kind of motivated. The other thing you do is if it's taken to, like back here, if you don't want to do that, you can actually stipple around that edge, and that will also get a nice blend. But you just want to get rid of that edge line, that's all. There we go. Do that right here. If you, just be careful. I don't want to hit the red, so this is a place where I might stipple. Just using the point of your brush and just dabbing. That's all that is. So I'm using the point of the brush and I'm just making little dots. There you go. I'll do the same thing down here on his boot. You know where this is going to come into play when we start highlighting the cloak. That's too much moisture. I can tell because there's too much water on there. That's alright. All you gotta do, touch the paper towel, you can soak it right up. Oh, let's see. Mostly fantasy, D&D Pathfinder, but I have picked up some sci-fi minis on clearance. Nice. Is that the Xfinity? We share a mutual in Gareth. Oh, nice. So, have you gone to ReaperCon then? Did I happen to meet you with Gareth and not know? Although Gareth and I didn't really meet. We were kind of two ships passing in the night because we always had our schedules. We couldn't have made a more opposite schedule when we were at ReaperCon. All right, so that's what we got here. I want to get in with more golden brown eventually. So remember that my light source is kind of like right here. So a lot of this area will get some of that brighter golden brown, but I want to go back to this. So this is just pure black. I think we even put a little purple in that, or we I don't remember, we didn't mix this all black. This wasn't all black. And so what I want to do is I want to create these shadows that you see in the light for real, so that they're not always just disappearing. So what I want to do is I'm going to take some black. All right. I think this is purple, isn't it? Do we do purple there? I don't remember. All right, never mind. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some black and I'm going to mix in a little ivory to it. Now, black is a powerful color. White is a powerful color, which means we're going to neutralize it out. So you're going to want to end up doing a little more black than white. So we're going to take this linen white and we're going to take this black, and I'm going to grab a mixing brush and I'm going to take a little bit of black and go 2, right? And then using that black, I want to just use a smidget of white, so it's not like a full shot of white. And I'm going to throw it in there, and I want to see what color that gives me. Now to maintain black, your highlight of gray has to be as minimal as possible. And we're not going to white on this. We want to go to a very dark gray, and then we're going to start glazing down. And then we'll start painting black in the recesses. So first things first, we're going to test out this gray. And you want it fairly thin, not a glaze consistency, but fairly thin. And then you have to pick a spot that you like, right? Here's the spot we like to show this guy off. Sadly, no, I'm trying to rearrange my schedule so that I could attend next year. Oh, nice. Well, hope you make it. It is a lot of fun. So here's this light. So this doesn't have to be opposite. You don't have to do it opposite. You just do it where you think you're going to get the most contrast out of it. So I think right here is good. So that gives me like all of this nice dark area right in here, right? So that gives me some dark to put some gray or to shade it down a little bit. So where I really want my colors is kind of where you have the highlight here. So I don't know if I can do this watching on camera, but I kind of want to have, see this bright gray right on this line? That's where I'm going to start. So I'm going to just take this bright gray. It's not going to be that bright on camera, but you will see when you rotate it that this is going to be kind of bright. I might have thinned this out too much, but that's all right, because the more you go over your thin paints, and I think I can go up a little bit more. I might need more white in that. So I'm gonna add a little more white to this. I'm gonna keep that dark gray I have though. I'm not gonna get rid of that dark gray. Alright, there we go. Let's try that. Alright, so we said we wanted this, right? So it looks like I got a little shoulder piece up here. You want to be as fine as you can with this, because as we glaze down, that glaze is going to get into some of those recesses. There we go. Again, we're not looking at lighting right here. We're just trying to get some contrast into this black. So we start with the extreme brightness and then we start working our way down the list. All right. All right, so looking at this, looks like the tail here. Trying to be as clean as possible. If you want to use the side of your brush, you're more than welcome to. And come up like this. That was not a smooth move. So I did something out of my norm. I'm looking at the camera and then I'm trying to remember where this highlight goes. I'm not keeping the miniature solely where I need to keep it because I'm streaming this, but you might be keeping your miniature where you need it. So I just keep coming out to that spot here. I might have went too far up here, but it looks like there's something right there. As you can see, I'm starting to get a little bit more of that. I mean, we haven't done any medium tones in there, but you can see I got this up here. I'm starting to get that darkness where I want it. Looks like right about here I'm going to need something. But it doesn't need to be that big. So let's try not to make it as big as I did the other one. Maybe here. Get some on this top shoulder here. And a little bit right here. So these things kind of like curve out here. And when I come up, I just want that little point at the top here. So we may phase that out as we go. And then definitely up here. And if I decide I'm going to change to use a color, at least I know where my lights are going to be. Got an early morning tomorrow, so I need to call it a night. Hopefully next time I can stay for the whole stream. Yes, I can't wait for you to. Thanks for coming in, Ty. I appreciate you being here. And maybe if you join, or don't forget to join Discord, maybe you can paint along with the next miniature. I don't remember what the next miniature is. I kind of put them out there. All right, so we have this here. So now what I want to do is I kind of want to fade in. So I'm going to use some of that dark. I'm going to use some of that dark gray, and I'm just going to kind of transition some of this stuff in. So we're going to use some of this dark gray that we started off with. And this is a layering thing, and then we'll glaze it in. So basically between these two highlights, whoops, I'm just going to paint over both of those highlights. And I'm going to connect them along with over here. So you just want to be as careful as you possibly can here. Up here, I'm going to finish this off with this nice dark gray we did. Oops, got a little wet blending in there going. So we'll make sure we don't do that a lot. Now in here, there's this medium vibe going on here, so we're just gonna kind of paint all of that going in there. And we'll finish this fold off. Whoops. This seems to be a little on the wet side. I may have thinned it down too much. There we go. Yeah, we don't want it to be a glaze consistency. What we want this to be a paint that I can use. So I'm just gonna kind of fix this up in here. All of these are on the fold lines. I'm just doing the fold lines. All right. Take some black and take some of that gray we just used, that nice dark gray, and we're gonna make a darker gray. And we're gonna thin that out to almost a glaze. So we want it to be very thin. We're still gonna do the same thing we did with the if it was a glaze, but that's, I'm just touching the paper towel to get the point back. It's still a thin paint, and I'm gonna actually go on the side of the folds with this. So when I do this, I don't want to go all the way into the fold. I want to be on the side of it. I'm going to use the side of the brush to kind of be on the inside fold, but it's a wet paint. It's a very thin paint, and it shouldn't cover up. It shouldn't cover up your highlight, but it should make the edges of these folds a little bit grayer. So it's sort of like a glaze, but I'm actually not really glazing for a smoother blend. I'm glazing inside these big folds, keeping the tops as highlighted as possible. Going in there. Remember, you have two sides to every fold, and I'm hoping that when we're done, the big recess is nice and dark from whatever we used before. And then we can start going in and start glazing down to black. So again, we want it to be dark, but we want it to be thin enough, and by touching the paper towel we get the point back but you want to get a lot of that side. So like I want to get this side here, this side here. And the reason why you're not thinning it to a glaze is because if you got any highlights on the side, you can paint right over it. But we don't want it completely black with this light gray, because then it doesn't look natural. It looks like a cartoon. And so we're going to try to get that to be we're going to make it look like it's a black material. And we want it to be highlighted subtly. So doing black and light is really tough. So just use the light to your advantage, because we can always glaze to be a darker color down the line. So get all of your brighter colors on first, and then glaze them down. Now that may work for me, and it may not work for you. And that's totally fine. You do what you need to do to make something look black. But if you never knew how to paint something black, you can always use this technique and see if it works for you. I can't say yes or no. Sometimes I can't help but get into the shadows or the deepest part, and so I have to kind of, I mean, I'll get in there with a black eventually. Just need to make sure that you have a little bit of contrast. And like I said, we're not really worried about lighting right now. I'm more worried about the contrast. So as this brightens down, you're starting to see this is more of a gray cloak than it is a black cloak. But as I keep glazing things down, things start to populate. All right. So we're gonna make this middle. I think I lost some of my middle color here, so just gonna bring some of that back. So I'm gonna use this color here to make a glaze. And we're going to go in the side. So I'm going to start at the brightest, go in, and then back to where this line is. Make sure I have the moisture off my brush. There we go. Let's see if that's going to work. I think I have to stipple this on. I don't think that's going to work. Just gonna smooth this out for a second. All right. I think what I'm gonna do is, instead of doing that, we'll make this easy. I'm gonna glaze down with black. I'm gonna make a filtering color of black, which is just a black glaze, and we put it all over the cloak. I just don't like these transitions here. So I think what I'm going to do is make one more dark gray. And I'm just going to pinpoint some of these transitions, because I just don't like this one right here. So I'm going to paint right in the middle of some of these. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just painting in my little definitions of, I'm painting in that darker version of what I did for the highlights. So anywhere where there's that big fold, I'm painting this darker color in. Because when I do the black, it will become darker. So I'm just trying to be very, very careful and get right into the deepest part of those folds. I don't know if it's showing up that way, but all right. Yeah, that's looking a little bit better. I know the camera's lighting it up, so it's very hard to see. But we're gonna go ahead and make a nice black wash, but we're gonna treat it like a glaze. So I think black is a tough color, so I'll go 5 right now. I'll go 5 waters. I just have the easy bottled water. And we'll take some of this black, throw it in there, and we'll test it out. Could be too black, could be not enough black. It's not, you can probably need more water. Let's try this. 2 more drops, so 7-1. It's gonna be pretty dark. Oops. So that's still painting over the lines, but that's all right. That's all right. If it paints over the lines, it's fine, because it's black, right? And we want to tone some of those highlights down just a little bit. So you don't want black paint. You want like a wash or a glaze consistency. So I thinned it down. See how thin that is? Whoops, see how thin that is? That's what you want. You don't want to paint black. You want to still be able to see that line. See that line right there? That's good. We like it. All right. So use this. I'm going to use a big brush for this. So a lot of moisture in there. Get the tip back the best you can. Then you use the side of the brush. And I'm just going to kind of paint over this whole thing with this. If your paint is flowing in the recesses, I'm just going to paint over everything. But if your paint is like, if you have no control over this paint, yet you have too much moisture in the brush. It should flow in the recesses, but when you lift up, you should have no pooling. If you have pooling, too much moisture. If you're painting over your highlights, you have too much black. So it is a feel, but if you remember to use highlighter consistency, you can't go wrong. And we're going to see if I need to reestablish any highlights or if I didn't do a good job smoothing out some highlights on the tops of the folds. But I have a feeling as I do this, it should look okay. Because we have those 3 levels of grays, right? That's the trick. If you only put one highlight and try to do this, it's going to look very cartoony. But if you put the 3 levels of gray already, and remember, we chose to put darker ones in an area, and we put darker ones in the sides of the folds or the recesses and the light ones on the top. So we used 3 grays before we got to this black. That's what I'm talking about, definition. Alright, so we have to let that dry. On camera, you can see the highlights, but on my miniature, I could see the highlights, but they're very, very darkened down a little bit. What is this guy? What are you doing on my thing? But at least it's got definition. When I turn him around, I can see the definition. I painted him, but this filtering glaze brings that black back. And we didn't go super bright with the gray. So a lot of this is just kind of blending in. So we have to let that dry. And then we have to figure out if we want to do something on the back of the cape. I don't know. Maybe give him some bat wings. So the thing we didn't do was out here, so we should kind of give him a little bit of highlight out here. Alright, so that was a thin paint there. We use a little bit of dark gray. Although I probably should wait for that to dry a little bit, huh? Let's do that. Let's wait for that to dry. Alright, and here's what I want to do. I want to take a little bit more of this white in the jungle mist So remember, this was our Jungle Mist white mixture. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick 2 more whites in here. Really make it nice and bright. And I'm going to start dotting a lot of areas. So I'm going to dot the center of his forehead. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to just work my way, whoops, sorry about that. I'm going to work my way down the front. So right where that nose is, right where the bridge of that nose is, small dot if you can get it there. If you can't, don't worry about it. Right on the tip of his nose. Bottom of his lip. This takes time. Don't rush this part. This is very bright and you could end up not you might get white all over the place. So you just want to be very controlled. So like I'm just hitting dots of color, but it's the dots right in the side of his face. You're gonna hit dots right on those cheek tips. Right on his hand. Tips of his fingers. Right, so you're just hitting these dots of points just so that you can get some definition in the hand so it doesn't totally look like it's just a flat paint. So as I look at him, that's how he's looking. I'm gonna do some stuff with his ears, so we'll just kind of get back here at the points of his ears. All right. Now we didn't do anything on this edge of the cape, which is not good for us, but this one we can go a little bit brighter with. So I'm going to start with that bright gray we had, and I'm just going to kind of come out and just hit the tops of the folds like we did last time. Now back here, like right about here, it'll see a little bit of light. So I'll do this here. But the rest of it's all covered by his head. So I'm going to not do the light gray, but I'm going to do the darker gray. And I'm going to do the same thing I did with the light gray. Just going to kind of hit the tops of these folds with this nice darker gray. think I'm using a glaze. I don't really want to use it. There we go. You want it to be darker than what you did before. Dang it, I got a piece of something in there. And so what that gray is going to do is it's going to help us with this hair color. We have to figure out a hair color. I don't know what the hair color is going to be yet, so I'm just kind of waiting. All right. Let's get to this burgundy. I think this was the burgundy. And ivory. I think we did almost, I think we did a 2-to-1 mix, right? It looks like a 2-to-1 mix. So I'm going to take that 2-to-1 mix, add another bit of ivory in. It's a very brilliant, it's a very bright color. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to highlight where I think it needs to be highlighted. And I'm just going to stay on the edges right now. Very controlled lines. Now I'm going to try to stay in the middle of what I did before. This one needs to be just a little bit more controlled, so because not all of his hand gets the light. So I'm just in the middle of all of those other lines. All right. All right, I think what I want to do is brighten this up just a little bit in here. So you know how we're going to do that, right? We're going to take whatever brown we used over here, which I think is right there. We're going to add more yellow to that. And so the way I use more yellow to that is I start with my yellow. It's not really yellow, it's golden brown, I'm sorry. You start with your tan color. And you slowly add in this darker color until you get the shade you're looking for. So I think this is the shade I want. So I'm going to use this. And where that light is coming from, that's what I'm going to paint this with. So I'm just going to go right in and make the color swatch. This color switch. Don't be afraid, because we'll glaze it in afterward. But what it's going to do is it's going to start showing a little bit more of the light coming at him. So like right here where this corner is, right where his leg kind of juts out, that's kind of what we want. Now you don't want to do all of it. You don't want to go over the whole thing. You want to leave a lot of that other tone in there. but you want enough of it to show that this is a little bit brighter than that backside. And I know we said we weren't going to do this, but at least now it gives you a little bit of taste of some dynamic lighting. Just looking here, this bottom is going to get more of the highlight than the top, just the way it's facing, so I'll probably just do that. This top edge right here. This bottom edge right here. Just looking. All of this will get it. And I even think right in here we'll get some. There we go. I like that. Now we have more things to shade or glaze. But he's starting to kind of pull through some color now. He's not so muted. All right. What time we got here? Oh, 10:51. We're doing good. All right. Well, I know what we want to do. I'm going to do this. Let's take some of this red and some of this black brown. Mix it together. Get this like purpley color going. A little more of this brown. I think this is what we did for the belt. And if we didn't, we're going to do the belt now. So I'm just making a little red brown mahogany color. I could have used my mahogany, but I chose not to, because all these other colors are in my wet palette. And if I want to shade with the black brown, I can do so. And if I want to highlight with some ivory, or if I want to make things a little bit redder, I can do so. Now I I know I got some paint on the yellow, but because we haven't done any blending yet on that, I can go in and just touch it up, and I'll worry about the blending or glazing afterward. Stipple it right on there and fix it up. There we go. Alright, so what I want to do is I'm going to actually add some of this golden brown, very touch of it, to this color here. And that should lighten it up. Get a little bit of water here. A little bit of water. We're going to do it again. A little bit of golden brown. Get some of this color we just made, this mahogany color, added in there. And what you're going to see is you're going to get a lighter color with that brown. And that's what I'm going to use. And if you thinned it out too much, then you have to kind of add more pigment, or you have to get a point back. So touch a paper towel. And I'm going to just do the top here, this top ridge. On both sides. And then I'm going to try to do the bottom. Very carefully. Like so. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to add a little bit of ivory to that so I can get the highlight just a little bit brighter. And we're going to do the same thing, but this time you're going to be a little bit more smaller with this highlight. So right up here I don't have to be smaller because this is right in the light area. Down here, some of it goes towards a bag, some of it goes towards the skulls, so I'll keep some of the darker highlight that we have in there. This one, I won't start at the skull, and I'll just do a little bit because it goes into shadow. Same thing down here. And so that just kind of pulls out some of the belt. That'll really get pulled out when we start kind of adding dark brown lines to places. And one thing I forgot to do with this bright burgundy wine is I forgot to add some dots to the middle here. This is a shirt. There we go. And his collar. His collar. There we go. All right. We got the red in there. Everything else is muted. We need a touch of blue, I think. Question is where to put the blue. I'm thinking probably, all right, here's what we're gonna do. I know I wanted this blue. So I'm gonna take this black, I'm actually gonna go ahead and start painting all of the hair black. So this is about the only time that I'm gonna paint something black and not do it dark gray, because I want it to be different than the cloak. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to do all the hair just this black color, because I think right now it's that purpley base undercoat. So it's not going to stay black, but I am going to highlight it with some blue. You know how like in the cartoon cartoons, they highlight it in blue. But don't worry, we're not going to cartoonify them. So I'm just going to go in and just paint everything, all of his hair black. So if you have black, that's great. This is a great way to touch up any mistakes you made. So if you didn't have a dark purple to if you didn't have a dark purple to undercoat with, then you can paint this black now. If you did, this is your chance to go in and fix things up. I just have to make sure I can find all the edges. I'm trying to get at the edges first. It's also a great way to fix up any eyebrows that we messed up along the way. Now I'm debating whether I want to give him streaks in his hair, so that's why I haven't done any of that stuff yet. Try not to mess up the purple that we have in his eyes, on the top of his eyes, if you painted purple up there. He has big eyebrows, I will give him that. Alright. Where to put blue? Let's see, how's this working? Sorry, I saw some stuff here that weren't really blended very well. So I'm gonna go in and just take some that original highlight color we had, and I'm just kind of going underneath. So like I have the highlight, and then I'm just using it to go underneath, so as if it's traveling into the shadows. Doing the same thing over here. looks a little bit better from my end. Trying to stay in the middle here. Maybe I haven't done a good enough job. Alright, we're back, I think. But now I have to adjust all the stupid things again. In a second here. Maybe this is a sign telling me you should stop. So you don't really get the green that's in the Alright. I think we're good now. We were doing so well. So well. Alright, we're trying to get blue into this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get the blue. I haven't mixed it with Jungle Mist. So that's what we're going to do. Mix that blue with some Jungle Mist here. Two blues, one Jungle Mist. And let's get a little burgundy wine in that. I don't think that did much of anything. There we go. Let's see what this looks like on that pack. We could have done the pack dark brown, but something tells me that this blue might actually do something nice. I don't know why he has a blue pack, but if we're going to put some blue in his hair, probably want to have a little bit of blue somewhere else. Put blue in the cape. Doesn't not work. We can make it a moonlit bag. Not sure. Want to get a little bit of color in there. So here's what the cape looks like now. I'm thinking I might want to do some more black. Let's filter another black in there. So I'm just going to take my black glaze that we made. Side of the brush. And go in there. And again, if it's pooling, it means you have too much water in your brush. You didn't take enough out on the paper towel. But again, I'm always using the side of the brush, the side of the tip. If you're going in and using the tip and you're just washing and it's pooling all over the place, you're gonna fight the medium. And you don't want to do that. This is a filtering glaze. We're bringing back the black. And I'm kind of using the side of the brush, going with the folds so that everything just ends up being nice and evenly coated. So this isn't a blending. I'm not trying to make my highlights blend. I'm trying to darken everything down. I'm trying to get the black back into the coat. And then if I want to, I can actually use the black paint to paint in the folds if I want to. But I don't want stark contrast. Like, I'm not making a shiny cloak or cape. I'm just making a very dark black cloak that's highlighted in certain areas to give it texture. And if your blends are looking a little, rough and you want to go back in and blend, then you can certainly do that. But with black, I found that it's just so hard to fight the light. See, even on here, that light is making everything shiny. But if I get it to the place where I think I wanted it, like I can see that dark, especially in here, I can see that dark where I didn't do a lot of this dark highlight. In here, whoops. In here, I can make this a little bit darker, which I inadvertently did when I was trying to show you. But I can make this darker just by filtering in that one area. That's what I was trying to say, is that when I was trying to get those blends in there, I totally could sit here and just glaze over this one middle area like so, and that gets, see, as I rotate that, you still get that dark area in there, but all this is highlighted. So right now this is kind of wet, so it's still shiny. The thing I have to do now is I have to kind of use that black glaze up here. And I have to use it in the front too. Bringing that black back. So the reason why I'm thinking I'm going to do some kind of lining around his collar is because the cape is black, his hair is going to be black, but I do have this small highlight out here. What I can do is add a little bit of black to that gray, darken that gray up, and I can get behind his head right about here. And that just kind of creates a little bit more of a definition where his head is. And then when I glaze over that, it'll get darker. All right. All right, let's see. Let's get, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. To get more blue on here, I'm going to use this blue, brown, black. And I'm going to add blue to it. And make this, because we have a lot of warm colors on him, I'm going to actually make his boots a little bit cooler. So we're just going to use this nice blue, brown, and we're going to do these boots. And the reason why we mix is because when I go in to shade this, I will be able to shade using that dark brown on his boots. Because the dark brown is already there, it's just some of the highlight has got the blue. How many of you were waiting for me to do blue pants? I think the pants are going to be a gray. Alright, so we got some cool boots with some warm flaps. We're going to do some gray on here just to break up the whole, because right now it doesn't look like he's got any legs. It looks like it's part of his cape. I also want to do the inside of the cape a color. Not quite sure what to do to the cape. So that might either go a very bright yellow, or I might mix yellow and red to kind of make this combination in here. So we'll have to see what that looks like in just a moment. But for right now, let's make a gray. That means we're taking, and I want a warm gray. to kind of offset a lot of the cool colors. So what I'm going to do is take this black, take some ivory, and you want to find the desired consistency of gray. Now if you do want color, I wouldn't go blue. You could do green, right? Because his skin is green. But I wouldn't go too much with the green. If you just want to lighten it up and get some, you could also go with the yellow, or the golden brown, but we have a lot of golden brown in there. So I'm just gonna go with this gray right here. This looks like a pretty good gray. I can highlight with the ivory. I can shade with the black. And I'm just gonna go in there and just give this a quick base coat. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix the inside, the color for the inside of the cape. And I think we'll call it there for this week. And then we will come back to this next Thursday and see what we can do to probably spend a lot of time blending things in, smoothing things out, and maybe if we're lucky, we'll add some character to him. Not sure what we want to add to him, but if you like what he looks like now as a game piece, go ahead and use him. But I want to do a couple more things to him, such as kind of getting things blended out, getting things a little bit more highlighted down the road. We have to do his eyes, so that's another thing next week we'll do. We'll do his eyes next week. I'm gonna make him glow, I think. And so to make it glow, we need to have it dark. That's why we put the purple up there. So we'll go in and work on some eyes. And then on Halloween, when we're finishing them up, we're just probably gonna just add some dark lines around certain areas to kind of clean them up. And we'll see what we can get done next week. But there we go. Now he's got some gray pants. Those will get highlighted. I just have to, I might work on the pants off stream, only because I mixed that color. And I might lose that color because I didn't make a recipe for it. I just kind of gauged what it was like. But in any event, yeah, so I think I'm gonna mix in some of this yellow and some of the red. Or the golden brown, rather. I mix in some of the golden brown. Vampires like red, so get some nice blood red in there. Doing 2 and 2. Get this nice little pinky color. Let's get one more red. So that was that 3 reds. 1 of that. Let's get a little bit of the burgundy in there. Now I'm going to actually just do a shot of burgundy. Well, I can't because that's not the same unit. So we're going to take 1 unit of this and put it in there. Oh, I like that color. That's the color we're going to use. So what is that? That's 3 reds, 2 golden browns, and 1 burgundy. And we're going to use that to do the inside of this cloak. Looks like a very tan flesh to me. And the reason I'm doing this is because I can shade down with the red or the burgundy. But I can also do a little bit of, I can also highlight a little bit with the brown color, the golden brown. But my hope is that I can get a design pattern on here. I just have to figure out the design pattern. But there's the dynamic look. See, you have the dark in the back, and then when you get to the front, it looks a little sinister-y. Again, this is just a base coat. We still have to highlight this cloak, and then once it's got the design, it won't have all of this pink feel to it if you think you have a pinky feel or a salmon feel. We're just exploring some colors, but kind of like how that frames him, right? Like, there's no colors. All the colors are in there, except it doesn't look like anything that's part of him. And that's what I wanted. The black just was not framing him the way I wanted him to be framed. And so just be careful when you're in here. Move that miniature around so you can get at certain places easier. And just take your time in the difficult areas. Again, we're just exploring colors. It doesn't have to be any rhyme or reason to why you decided you were going to give him a salmon inside of a cape. Other than there's a lot I can do, I can go all kinds of ways with this cape now. So that's the beauty of this. But the most important thing is that when you look at this now, there he is. You can see him all over the place, right? You couldn't see that with the black before, but then when I turn him over, so he's still dark there. And we'll end up darkening up a little bit of these hands here. But that's kind of what you want. You want that pop of color, so when they see him on the table, whoa, what is that? All right. So 3, 2, 1. There was something else I was gonna do, and I don't remember what it was. Oh yeah, I remember. So this was here, so I'll take some of this ivory, some of this gray, make a nice subtle highlight color. And staying true to where my light source is, this would see most of the highlight. And all all the tops of the folds. So you just kind of do the tops of the fold. So here's the top of the fold right here. Top of the fold is right there. I don't know where else I would really go, because all of this seems to be under the we'll take this up a notch. And then we'll do the same thing. This time I'm going to stay on top of all the folds. There we go. And then we'll glaze and smooth out those blends next week. So next week we're going to just spend a lot of time kind of cleaning up all of the yellow, the brown here, just by glazing in. Here's my glaze for that. So I'll try to keep this as best I can. But we're just going to go in, start where the dark is, and move to that line. Just kind of get rid of that, right? Start here to the line. Might have had too much moisture there. Let's bring that back at a little bit. So that's what we'll do next week. We'll do that with the gray. We'll do that. But there's our black cloak. So it's highlighted. And what I was saying before is if you really want to keep that middle nice and dark, you can take this filter and just do that part that you want dark. So like right in here. Right in here. I know it looks like I'm painting with black, but I'm not. I'm filtering out everything. You can even filter in these recesses if you want, just to make it a little bit more blended down. But what this will do is it'll make it darker in the middle, and not and you just keep filtering down until you get to the right consistency you want. Like right here, if I wanted, I could just kind of throw that in there. And then as it dries, it's still highlighted because you got all that gray in there. That's not black. That's not. It's, you know, if you move it around, you'll see the highlights. See, if I move it there, you still see the highlights. So that's not my light doing that. All right. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. That is installment 2 of our vampire. So we got a little bit more of a menacing face on him. Right? And we get more highlights on him. He's got some more color. And we got a highlighted cloak. We haven't done anything with the back of the shirt yet. And I'll show you what we can do with the shirt if you want it to be in the darkness. What you do is you kind of paint it with a dark mahogany, and then you highlight it with the burgundy, rather. Not mahogany, the burgundy. And then this will be bright, and this will be the dark. So the idea is to do it like bright reds here, and then when you turn them around, it's just the darker red. So this is a very dark red with it's still got the highlights, right? But as you get to the light surface, and I know that the crown breaks the image here, but if you look at the hands, those are in the dark. This teal is in the dark, and as I turn him, now things get brighter and brighter. So there's the bright teal, bright red, brighter flesh tones. So that's kind of what we're trying to do with him here. Keep this side in the dark, but we still have to show definition. And when we get over here, things look a little bit better. So I know that this probably could use a second coat. So I'll probably end up doing that. And then we'll continue on next week. I hope you enjoyed this installment. I'm going to turn the music off. There we go. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody actually watching? Anybody doing this guy? Hopefully, as you set them down, you can start to see the light area. What I really wanted to do is focus on getting his face to be the brightest. So I was trying to mute everything down here, keep everything sorted on the dark side, because I don't want to put light down here because that takes away from, whoops, I don't want to put light down here because it takes away from his face, and that's where we want this to be. So when he's looking this way, you know, he's very menacing. All right. Anybody around? If not, I might just call it here. If we want to go raid somebody, we can go raid somebody. But thanks for tuning in. Let me come out here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for stopping in. Hopefully everybody is painting along. This video will be up, and then hopefully I will be able to export it to YouTube. I will also put up the link to the YouTube on my Discord for the first one, the one 2 weeks ago, and then I will put this one up there hopefully next week. Next Thursday, we'll go ahead and we'll keep blending where we need to blend, and we'll get the eyes in there, and then we'll work more on the inside of the cape. I have some ideas for the inside of the cape, but I want to take a look and see what other patterns I might be able to work in there. And then we'll see where that goes. We still have the hair to work on, so I'm still trying to figure out if I want to be like cliche and put the white strips in his hair, or just keep it black and then kind of give it that subtle blue highlight. So I'll work on that. But then we have some other things, some other detail stuff that we can put in there. And then after that, it's just kind of clean up and popping in color here and there. Highlights here and there, but I think we got a great face. So there you go. All right, nobody's chatting, so I think I'm gonna call it here, but for anybody that's lurking around that wants to continue on with Twitch, I'm going to give you guys some ideas to go to. Wapelius is a fantastic streamer, artist, and you can learn a lot from all kinds of stuff. He works with oils, so if you ever wanted to work with oils or you didn't think you could mini paint with oils, go check out Mr. James Wapple. Wapelius is the name. Kelly Larson's on, Darling Creepshow's on, Spark Minis is on, Sea Fox Paints is on, Impending Duff is on, Catmaster's on, Hecatone's on, and Good Enough Painting is on. Let's see, who else is doing some painting? Goobertown Hobbies is in the house. He's on. I don't know how long he'll be on. Steve T's on. And that's all I see in here. So if any of those guys spark your interest, you can go check those out. If not, look for the video next week for part 2 of our vampire. And I will say good night and have a great night. Keep on painting, keep thinking out of the box, and we'll see you next Thursday. Have a good night, everybody.